Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. Happy to have in studio with me Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. And Casey, how you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
We're up on the short week here before the holidays, but I know you've got some important information to pass along here. What's going on in this morning here?
Well, there's all kinds of issues going to come to Mason County in the near future. I know that this afternoon, evening, I think it's at 5, there's going to be a discussion on the mental health facility regarding the old PUD building downtown. That's going to be an interesting conversation of concern for many people. I think that's an important thing for the community to discuss.
Yeah.
We can talk about the budget cuts and how they're affecting our jail.
Let's talk about that. Let's go with that first, because
Sure.
we've had conversations over this year on the budget and the jail and how many folks are there and how many folks you have to send out to Nisqually or elsewhere. Where are we at with this, the county?
Well, my biggest term is the long-term effect. We theorized that if a number of years ago, that if we could outsource inmates so that we had a way to hold people accountable, be able to put people in jail, that our crime rates would come down,
Sure.
and that theory held true. Right now, and there were some areas of our county that crime rate ran down over 20%, but overall we're down 6% and with a 9% increase in calls. So that's not too many people have been able to accomplish that. When your call rate goes up, your crime rate goes down.
Yeah.
So we've done well there. But this year, our funding, we were cut over $700,000 in the sheriff's office. Previous to that, a citizens task force showed that we were probably more than $1 million short of where we should be in the first place. So we're running $1.7 million low, I guess you'd say, over the years. And we don't have the amount of money that we had last year for outsourcing. It was costing us between $90,000 and $100,000 a month to lease or rent space from Nisqually Tribe and from Lewis County Sheriff's Office. Now, without that funding to cover that, our jail only holds 74. We have about 130 people in custody. And the new jail project has been new jail project for the last almost 3 years, for that additional 20 beds, looking to be open this year. That has nothing to do with us as a project. It's something that is not our project to get done, but that will eventually maybe add 20 more and put us up to 94 beds. But we still have 130. The amount of money that we were given for next year, the people that are already in custody, we have to continue those sentences to be paid out. That money for next year will barely cover the cost just to get them through. And then we have medical costs that money will be used for. So we're going to have to put a cap on the jail. Right now, it'll be 74. I've met with the judges in the city, with the Mason County judges and the chief from the city and the budget director there on how we're going to have to cut back and what jail space is available. And then it's going to be somebody goes in, somebody goes out.
We talked a couple weeks ago about this, and you said that you wanted to make sure humane conditions and every head had a bed and things like that. So how is it now with the additional from 74 to 130? Where are those people staying?
They're at Lewis County Jail or the Nisqually Jail.
Okay.
And so so there's cost to taking people down there and back, and then we pay costs to have them in those jails. I think the concern here that I want to bring out is I'm used to it. I guess I hear the criticism all the time about the sheriff this and the sheriff that, and I gripe every year about the budget, which is absolutely correct. But I'd like to remind you, and I brought some things today to show that, some documentation, because it concerns me when I hear the sheriff something. Well, this is not new. I'm looking at an article here from April 5th, 1990, that it talks about Judge Sawyer's concerns because the county jail that was brand new 5 years ago is full. When I worked here in 86 through almost 90, we're in the same problem. We'd have to call to see if we could take somebody to jail. This is not a new problem that the county did not know about. This has been at least since the jail was built. When they built the new jail, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the new jail was built for the same capacity at 45 as the old jail. They just expanded it because you had to expand some areas for facilities, for clothing, for an infirmary, and those kind of things. But the jail capacity was virtually the same. A few years after that, what they called the retrofit, and they added beds into the jail, which now account for you have to have so much space per inmate, which has pressed that to the limit, so you can't go any more than that. And so that gave us 74 beds, and it's been the same since then. I have a letter from Sheriff Weibark in 1999 to the commission saying, "Listen, our jail's too small. we don't have enough room to put people. We don't have enough money to feed people. We don't have enough money for clothing. I've got the letter for that that was sent then in '99. I've got documents back even past then writing. So it's not a new issue, and that's what's bothersome to me. Is I wouldn't say it's even coming to a head again. It's been sitting there forever, this looming problem that hasn't been dealt with. The Mason County Public Safety and Criminal Justice Task Force that was put together by the commission wrote a letter back after they were convened as a group of people to look at these problems, and the task force took a look at the funding for public safety, and clearly their answer was it's not being funded properly, and then we take cuts again. So it's tremendously difficult to be sitting here, and I know what the effects for public safety are. If you can't hold people accountable during the time that we saw our crime rate come down dramatically. Mm-hmm. Now we're not going to be able to hold again, and I guess you could take a look at that effect might have.
So who will make the determination of if it comes down to, it likely will, one in, one out here for the jail, the determination of which one comes out?
Generally, there's some particular circumstances, and there's laws that cover that, of who can make that releases, but we're working with our judges ahead of time. Typically, the people that are non-violent offenders, if you will, the lowest tier offenders would be the first ones to leave, the ones with the shortest sentences left to go that are non-violent, and we're working with our judges on that to discuss how is that going to work. We'll have to present a list every day of the number of people we have in custody, who they are, what charges, and if they want to put somebody in, they're going to have to decide who leaves.
And then could that also impact the decision that one of your deputies has on a stop?
Yes, because we can't put somebody in jail.
So they would know the number, and they would know
on violent things, domestic violence things, stuff like that are violent crimes.
Yeah.
You're going to put them in there, and somehow they're going to have to pay for it, or because there's other things that govern that jail space. There's federal law that governs how much space you have to have for what they call recreational movement space. You can't just stack people in there, stack more bunk beds until you can't get between them. Mm-hmm. There's certain laws, and the physical size of that jail is just not large enough. It's interesting to think that was built for 45 and 80 in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and it's only holding 74 now, being double bunked.
Has there been situations in the past where the inmates, because of the tight quarters, get into a situation where people have to call and it could put your deputies at risk?
Yeah, that's why you can't put more people in there that belong. I mean, all kinds of problems occur out of that, overcrowding and liability issues that we're already dealing with because of the number of people we have in custody, and you have to have so many jail staff for so many inmates. And the last few years, as you know, we've been almost a third down in our staffing because the pay issues concerning on the contracts, when people just leave and go other places. That finally got stabilized. We're hiring people back. Other people coming in to take those positions. I anticipate they'll probably stay because the pay is reasonable now. And once we get those into place, we'll be able to at least be at the capacity that the jail can hold.
I was looking let's move to a lighter subject. I was looking on Twitter this morning, and I see that Sheriff Snaza comes back to work on the 1st. Have you had a chance to talk with him?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I ran into John. We were watching some of the new graduates at the Criminal Justice Training Commission, and he was there non-uniformed. Mm-hmm. He still has some issues with his left hand and arm. There was some issues of an infection in his fingers and things that he was working on there. He released a video of him last night I saw on the news, and John is expecting me back after the first of the year, and he looks pretty darn good. I mean, it's come a long ways, and he's got a ways to go, but he'll be back in the office.
Well, good.
It's exciting for him.
It is exciting, and it's always nice talking to you here this morning. I know we've got the holidays coming up, and there are increased patrols, and just kind of be aware that the folks are out there doing their darndest to keep you safe out there, and so keep them safe as well. And it's always a pleasure talking with you. And happy holidays, Merry Christmas if I don't see you.
Do you know you have access to the fastest internet in Washington State? Switch to iFiber Communications right now and take advantage of our special offers. Pay only $29.95 for 100 megabit high-speed internet, or get 3 months of internet absolutely free. That's right, $29.95 for 100 megabit speeds or 3 months of internet free. Shop, stream, and game like never before with iFiber Communications high-speed internet. Call 360-427-4000 or check us online at ifiber.tv. Subject to credit approval, valid on a 24-month contract.